Hello world, it's me, Briar, and welcome to a series born out of a New Year's resolution. Excuse me. That was a big one. God, imagine if I had my mouth open. A series born out of a New Year's resolution to read a book a week. And I'm starting with North is the Night, which I am already behind because I actually started reading this 2 weeks ago when I bought it out of Walmart on a paycheck that was bigger than I thought it would be. So, unfortunately, the book that I was actually looking for was not there, but I am happy with this one so far. I think there are a few things that are kind of flawed, but for the most part, it's really good. Before we get too far into it, let me just go through the content warnings. I have to say, I really like this trend. I don't want to say trend. I really like the pattern. There we go. That's a better word. I really like the pattern of authors putting in content warnings at the beginning of their books. It's a consideration for the readers that I really appreciate because I don't know when I'm going to be triggered, but having the triggers in front of me and making the active choice to either put it down or go forward with it does mitigate some of the damage if I do hit a day or even a moment where I am fragile and raw and I need to step away from upsetting content, I guess. So, content notice. North is the Night contains depictions of fantasy violence, kidnapping, blood and gore, torture, on-page death, religious persecution, forced conversion, and themes of colonization and cultural genocide. Multiple characters experience abuse, mental, physical, and emotional. There's one scene of attempted sexual assault, and while there is no sexual violence between any of the main characters, there is room for readers to question consent due to the uneven power dynamics. Succinct, specific, I like it. So let's get into it. I am more of a character-driven reader and writer. So, oh wow, hang on, hold. Sorry, I sat on my left leg wrong, so it decided to remind me why I usually walk with a cane. I had some shooting pains there for a second. All right. So, let's talk about the characters first and foremost. Siri so far is my favorite perspective. I tend to like characters who are raging against a situation, very single-minded. That's who I am. So I kind of gravitate towards characters who are a lot like me, for better or for worse. And I think Siri's I love the depth of passion that comes through the prose in regards to her, and I might just be reading into it because, I'm a lot like her in the sense that I am very, very dogged in my goals and very passionate about people that I care about, passionate about mythology and my own identity, and so Siri's desire to have and keep Aina in her life, Siri's desire to go save Aina, to bring back the gods to the Finns, to not bow down to the Christian colonization, that really resonates with me. And so the insights on what is going on in this Finland community or Finnish community, while the Christian Swedes are like moving in and pushing them out, it hits very close to home. I grew up Southern Baptist, and not a friendly environment to queer AFABs or even cishet AFABs, regardless of where cishet white women's votes often find themselves. I'm not going to go too much further into that. But just as a sapphic trans non-binary person, a lot of the early book conflicts between Ciri and the Christian Swedes, and even Ciri and her father, whenever Ciri insulted a preacher, like, it's one of my favorite parts in the book, though. When she's laying in that preacher, I'm just like, girl, get him! It was so exciting. I love that part. That probably is what solidified Ciri as my favorite character. It was great. It was fantastic. I loved it. Oh, I love her. She's really fun to follow. Sometimes she surprises me. Sometimes, like her current interactions with Vina Moinen, I like it. I like their dynamic. I like how bold she is. I guess surprised is the wrong word. I don't know. I don't know what word I would use. She impresses me a lot. I really like Ciri. It's really easy to root for her, and as far as part 1, where she's like getting into chapter 1, you can tell she is head over heels for Ina. I don't think she fully realizes that it's romantic, but it's very much giving the same energy I had when I was little, and talking about like really pretty fictional characters, or really pretty celebrities, or even really pretty girls in my class. I just want to be their friend. I just really want to be her friend. And everybody's kind of looking at me like, yeah, friends. Anyway, so that was just right out the gate. That genuinely made me laugh, in the best way possible. It was so relatable. I think Ciri's conflict, the unspoken emotions that come through the prose, I think they're really well realized. Is this prose and writing going to make me read? Let's see. Where is it? There we go. Read the likes of Pucking Around, Pucking Wild, Pucking Sweet? Probably not. But I do have a lot of respect for this writing style. There are flaws in the story from what I've heard, and I'll get into them in a little bit, but so far I really like the prose. I really like how the story is constructed. I really like the emotional beats. And I really like the emotional contrast between Ciri and Ina, because whereas Ciri is very much like, like just beaten against and raging against the situation, Ina is kind of working her way through the situation. Like, Ciri is hot, in your face, on fire, like jumping around from solution to solution, like on her feet, ready to go. And that's not just because she's traveling, like in her mind, like she's kind of quick on her feet, like just very dynamic, a lot of motion to her thoughts and her actions. And it's very in your face, and I love it. Whereas Ina, it's a lot slowed down. Ina is less of a warrior and a survivor, and more of a thinker. If we're talking Disney princesses, which Ina very much feels like a Disney princess to me, I feel like Ciri would be on the lines of Moana, Mulan, Merida. They all start with M. Moana, Merida, Mulan, and Ina kind of slows it down. Like, her personality says Snow White, Aurora, Cinderella, but I think that the way that she thinks on her feet, and she kind of explores her situation, tests the boundaries, it's very much Belle to me, and I love Belle. So I really like both girls at the forefront. I like Siri a little bit more because I relate to her so much, but Ina is not, like, she's constantly called a little mouse, and that does get annoying at a certain point. But I really like the way that she thinks and the way that she tries to solve her situation. I think she's caught between them. Like, she's really shoved into the Tuoni marriage, which I like a little bit less, but it's very much giving, this is ancient magic and ceremonies you're fooling with. You gotta play by their rules regardless of how you feel about it. And that's kind of where the power dynamics come in. But there's also a desire there. Like, she is attracted to Tuoni. She's unsure, and I like that it fully portrays how unsure she is. Because she's scared, but this is the only solution that she sees. And she's not just acting for herself or acting to get back to Ciri. She's acting to protect other people, to protect the other girls that are caught in this situation with her, and to I'm not going to say avenge, because she doesn't want to destroy the Witch Queen or her daughters, but to kind of honor, there we go, to honor the girls that have passed. Very much in it for the benefit of others. Has a very, very giving heart. And that's what she shares with Ciri, is this giving heart, this loving heart, this willingness to put yourself in the line of fire for other people. That's a very powerful theme that the both of them share, and it's very interesting to see how their methods of doing that and implementing that mindset and that resolve, I like it. We get the faster pace with Ciri, we get the slower flow with Ina. It works really, really well, genuinely. Leviatar, I think, is my third favorite. There are some aspects, like the little mouse thing that I was talking about. You don't have to say it that many times, girl. Come on, stop. God, it's so much. And Leviatar gives very much tired ant energy. I love Leviatar. And it probably helps that I recognize the name from Dungeons and Dragons. Excuse me. Hydrate before you dehydrate. So, I think that's my favorite characters out of the way. I haven't really formed an opinion on Vainamoinen. I don't like any of the witch sisters or the witch queen. And none of the girls who went to Tuonela with Ina really stand out. And I understand why not, because that's not the point. We're not really meant to get to know them. Their loss is not the point of that situation. I do wish we kind of leaned more into it. But I understand that we're on a time crunch. The book very much feels like we're on a time crunch. It does go into detail about, like, how desperate the other girls are. And that is one flaw to Ina's character that I really see. It's giving very much chosen one, and not in the best way. It's a little rushed. I feel like if we took a little bit more time with it, it could be a little bit better. I don't have any specific edits that I would add. Well, actually, I think fewer girls. I think fewer girls would really help. I think a little bit more time when they would all spend in the same place would also help. I think some conflict with the girls, like if we had time for them to discover how well Ina had been taken care of by Tuoni's Raven, I think that could have been interesting. I think that could have added to the tragedy of the other girls, and could have added to their loss and the conflict that Ina had. As for how it's actually going down, Aina feels like she's got Naruto's plot armor. I don't know how else to describe it. She feels like a Naruto Disney princess. And I love her. I really do. Just like I love Naruto and almost all of the Disney princesses, it's just it's I'm coming from Siri, who I'm really enjoying, the fast paced, the dynamic of her thoughts and not just the situations that she finds herself in, but also just how she thinks and how she feels about the world around her. And then we're getting to Aina. And while I like the slower pace of Aina, while I like how Aina thinks things through and looks for clues and asks questions and is very inquisitive and studious and knows how to keep her head down, be demure, the way that things happen around her or because of her feels more manufactured than organic, I guess. So that is a little bit of a flaw for me. As for a flaw from Siri's perspective, let's talk about Lumi. So I don't know anything about the indigenous tribes of Finland or anything. I don't know the history there. I cannot speak on what the Lumi situation in her tribe means for how people perceive the real life counterpart, or the real life Finn and Swedish counterparts. I don't have that knowledge. So if somebody else does a video talking more in depth about it, or if there's a post talking more in depth about it, defer to them. However, it is a little bit concerning. Because what made me kind of look into that to begin with was, so Siri finds herself kidnapped by this Lumi person, right? And Lumi's like over here, like treats her wound and whatnot, and tries to convince her to let her treat the wound. It somehow comes out that she sent the trappers who tried to sexually assault Siri, not to sexually assault her, but like to try and invite her into the tribe, bring her to the tribe because she wanted access to the bear. But that is not why Siri doesn't trust her. Immediately Siri's like, oh, you just want Vainamoinen for your own selfish like endeavors. And then I'm just sitting here like, Siri, you barely know this woman. You met her 2 seconds ago and you're half delirious with pain from your throat wound. What if there is anything to be mad about, and this very much feels less like Siri's perspective and more like the author is telling us how we need to feel about Lumi, if that makes sense. Because I'm not saying that Siri doesn't have a right to be mad at Lumi. I just don't like what she's mad about. I feel like Siri, if she's gonna sit here and focus on what she sees wrong in Lumi, I feel like her thoughts and her words should be more focused on the fact that Lumi sent out these trappers that tried to sexually assault her. Whether that was Lumi's intention or not, which I don't think it was. It wasn't well handled. I think we needed to spend a little bit more time, look over this particular chapter a little bit more than we did. It was very, very jumbled. It didn't make a lot of sense. And it felt like the author being like, hey, yeah, reader, Lumi's not a great person. And then I go to the internet and look up some stuff, and I'm just like, okay, so a lot of people find a lot of flaws with the villain, particularly the indigenous tribe counterpart. And I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate. But I don't know enough to speak on the situation. I I mean, even when I do research, because I want to research this, I want to research Finnish culture. This book is very rich with references and whatnot. Genuinely very interesting, and I would like to research it further. But even if and when I do research it further, I'm not the person to consult on that thing. I'm not the person to reference or listen to in regards to the dynamics between the Finnish and the indigenous tribes of Finland. That is definitely something to go to the source about. So, for me, the flaw really lies in the character perspective, especially because I'm only in the first half of the book. So I didn't like that part, but very much like the flaw with Ina's part. It's kind of the author coming through more than her characters shining through, which is my specific problem. Anyway, as far as other thoughts, I'm right at the point where Tuoni and Ina are taking back Tuonela from Tuonatar, and it's a little too easy for me. It's not really that much of a strain on Ina or even Tuoni. Kalma already has the queen by the throat when they arrive. It's very anticlimactic for what was already a slower part of the story. I personally don't know how else I would have handled this. It's kind of unsatisfying though. But I'll read on, and perhaps I'll have more cohesive thoughts when I finish the book. But thank you. If you watched this far and listened this far, I'll get back to you hopefully by Friday. Because I hope to finish this book by Friday. You know what? I'll be okay if I finish it by Saturday. I think I want an even Sunday through Saturday reading experience or schedule. So get back to you on Saturday. Or whenever. Bye.